We live.
Sweet.
What up?
Hey guys. Try to pull up everything real quick and get things rolling.
Get it rolling. So I'm gonna see if I can do the same thing, but I don't know if it'll let me do my channels because there's 9 kids here, all on the interweb, and us, and Christy. So we're gonna do a live Q&A, which means Gene's got to get this pulled up so he can do the questions.
Working on it.
And yeah, it's a rainy day, which means nobody's outside, which means everybody's on the web, which means that everything's slow. So hopefully we can get this thing cranking.
Nope. Hey, there we go.
We good?
Yep.
All right, guys, so we're going to give it a minute for the audience to build, but you guys comment in the chat section with your questions. But more importantly, I got some Yeti stuff to give away, and I got some KBF edition line cutters rings to give away.
Good, then I got room in my truck.
So save those specific comments and questions, hashtag Yeti, hashtag line cutters, for after the video goes live, and we'll pick a winner from that. Not live like we are now, but live on my channel after the Q&A session's done.
Now what I want to know from you guys is how many of you can kayak in your yard right now?
Yeah, because we could kayak in my yard right now. So an important thing when you plan a fishing trip is to check the weather. And so Gene said, hey man, I'm gonna head your way tomorrow because he's getting some new shoes, new tires and rims for his Tundra to tough that Tundra out a bit from the same place that I got mine here in Middle Tennessee, and Middle Tennessee Tire. And yeah, but our fishing plans are pretty much on hold. It looks like the cell's moving through, and we're going to shoot some videos here in the yard. We're going to shoot some kayak hole differences. We're going to potentially redo the video that I did with Gene about the paddle, because it was really a paddle overview, but it was a paddling technique overview. Yeah. So we're going to redo that either for my channel or for his channel or for both. And then right now we just want to do a Q&A session. Here's the purpose of this Q&A session. So if you're watching this live, if you ask the question in the chat section, we're going to answer it now. But if you have a question that you want answered in video, once this video goes live on the channel as a video, post a comment in the comment section. Both Gene and myself are going to go grab those comments, and the comments that require, you know, more than a few minutes to answer via text, or you can't really answer it effectively by typing it out, we're going to take those comments and we're going to turn those into subscriber question and answer videos. I've been doing a few of those. I actually got the inspiration from Gene from several years ago, but he hasn't done them in a while, and I'm like, dude, why aren't you doing this? It's a great way. And he's like, man, it sounds like a good idea to me. So you guys comment questions for Gene in the comment section, both right now while we're live and after the video is posted on the channel. And we'll go through there, find the better comments, and turn those in questions, and turn those into videos that we answer more thoroughly, whether it's getting out on the water and answering that question, or it's just answering that question standing in front of a camera in a more comprehensive and thorough manner than we can by typing an answer out. Plus, when we type the answer out in the comment section, you know, there's only that person, maybe a few other that read it that benefit, but when we can take that and turn it into a video that answers that question, we're able to answer that question for all of you guys, all of his subscribers, all of my subscribers, and we're able to have a bigger impact. So something that I wish I would have thought of sooner, but I'm glad I thought of it because one of you guys suggested it. And now we're going to do a lot more subscriber comments answer videos where we answer the questions, not necessarily things where you're patting me on the back or patting Gene on the back and telling us we do a great job. We appreciate that. Trust me, we do. Especially when you're up till 3 o'clock in the morning editing a video, it launches the next day and people love it. That's, you know, that's rewarding. But more the stuff that is comprehensive, that's complex, that's difficult to answer. I'll give you a for example before we even get started. There was a kid at the tire place, and he went and grabbed a couple of lures. He recognized Gene from his channel and said, hey, would you throw this right now? Gene held it up to the light and said, are you fishing clear water or dirty water? And he said he was fishing dirty water. So Gene said, if I can see through it, I'm fishing it in clear water. If I can't see through it, I fish it in dirty water. So that kid had just bought, you know, $15, $20 worth of lures, and was about to go fish rainy runoff water that was going to be muddy with the lure that wasn't going to show up.
Yep.
So he headed back to Academy. He's buying himself a darker lure, and we expect to get text messages with photos from him later today. So it's those kind of things that you really can't answer by typing an answer in the comment section, and it doesn't have the full benefit. So Ask your questions. We'll answer them right now. We're going to run this thing for about 30 minutes. And then after that, we're going to hope that the rain passes through. We're going to go out and shoot some instructional videos in the yard. And then we're going to go try to get on the lake, on Old Hickory Lake, post-frontal, post-biblical torrential downpour, and see if we can't put a couple fish in the boat.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
We didn't get hardly anything in Rome.
Well, I know.
We didn't get,
even the rain just goes right by Rome.
I know.
You know what I mean? There's no reason to stop.
It was flooding 30 miles south in Atlanta.
Oh, there are people texting me pictures of themselves paddling down their street in Georgia right now. Panama City Beach, there's people paddling in condo courtyards. So, anyway, ask your questions and let's answer.
All right, so somebody asked me how I like my Jackson Mayfly. I love it.
Listen, I'm going to be honest with you.
Wait a minute, it was my question.
I don't get envy from many boats. I really don't. Like, the big rig is Gene's kind of go-to boat right now, and it's a little too big for me. It's got a little bit too much gunnel. It's a little too wide. I like stable, more by design than by wide, but a lot of people are comfortable in that boat. Gene loves the huge platform, and there's a lot of people that are a big fan of that boat, and it's a great boat. I like the little gunnels or the little grooves where you lay your rods. It's a great layout. But I'll be honest with you, when I saw that Mayfly, it was probably the first time in the kayak community when I had other brand envy.
Right.
When I said, ooh.
Yeah, that is, I mean.
Because I'm a fly fisherman. I do fly fishing, is mostly my fishing. I will be adding fly fishing to the channel later this year, so you guys stay tuned for that. Enough people have twisted my arm to say, dude, you're a fly fisherman. Do it on your channel.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to do it on my channel. I might even get this guy out there and wave the long lawn.
Time, but I love it.
Get him waving the long lawn.
That's what I grew up doing, is fly fishing.
So here's the deal. That's a great boat. And so to me, personally, if I was going to choose between the big rig and the Mayfly, and I'm not crapping on either boat, so don't start that, I would choose the Mayfly.
Yeah.
I like the, for a lot of the reasons that I like the attack, I like that low gunnel, I like the lower nose so the wind doesn't have as big of an effect. I like the clean layout. I like the layout of the boat. It's a great boat. Matt Ball showed up to fish the best of the best with it, and I was kind of giving it the leaning eye, like, oh man, that's a nice boat.
When I first saw it, I didn't even have to touch it. I looked at it and said, ooh.
Yeah.
You know, that's not just a fly fishing boat. That's going to be a great lake and river fishing boat. Now, the river fishing part of it was a surprise to me to a point. I didn't think it was going to maneuver very well in hard current. I made a full 180 in the middle of a class 2 and I didn't even worry about it.
So I'm going to be honest with you. I got in the boat, okay? And I didn't have a chance to shoot video, but here was one of the things that kind of blew me away right out of the gate is I'm a big flipping and pitching guy. I don't shoot a lot of flipping and pitching videos because they're kind of boring. It's a staple technique of bass fishing, but you're literally just flipping into holes, and when you catch a fish, the fight's not that big. You fight them under the grass, you pull their head up, you pull up a bunch of grass and fish, and though you're showing results, it's not that exciting type of fishing for me to film. I love fishing it for effectiveness, but when I got in that boat and I stood up and I started pitching, that lower deck in the front, though it wasn't designed for this, is that little bit of difference, that little bit of being able to skim and sling your lure across the front, not banging the side of the boat or not having to completely come out sideways. It opens up the entire front of the boat, and it doesn't eliminate that 60 to 80 degree wedge in the front of the big rig that you can't pitch and flip. And so for that reason, I think it's a pretty nice bass fishing machine.
Oh,
so
yeah, I agree.
Cool. Next question.
Next question. There was one about picking a kayak. 3 best kayaks on the market. I can't find it now.
Wow, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, we're not doing that one anyway.
Well, no, let's do it. It's 3 best.
Well, he's
looking
to upgrade.
I'll let you go
He's
first.
looking to upgrade. So what would you upgrade to? If you had a sub $1,000 boat.
Okay.
So what's the best sub $1,000 boat in your opinion? First of all, an Ascend.
Look, I'm going to say this, and there's going to be a lot of people that want to choke me out for this, potentially even a couple of sponsors included, but the best sub $1,000 boat on the market, in my opinion, is kind of a toss-up. It's a toss-up between the Pescador Pro in the 12-foot. I think the 10-foot's a little too small for bigger dudes like me, bigger dudes like Gene, and the vast majority of regular-sized human males. But it's a great smaller frame person boat. It's a great ladies boat, and it's a great kids boat. But it's designed for adults, so it's a great boat. So the Pescador 12 is a great boat. But I have to give a nod to the Ascend series from Bass Pro Shop. They're a great boat as a gateway boat. They're a great boat that you can get into and that you, that you get your rewards points. They're a great boat because Bass Pro Shop offers, kind of in-store financing. So for me, what I really like about what they do is they get people into kayaks.
Yeah.
They get people started. There's a great combination of stability, a good layout. Now, granted, they have gleaned their layout and their design from other companies, but that is what it is. It's a great product. It's a value-added product. It's a good price point, and it's a lot of boat for the money. So sub $1,000, I would say it's between the Pescador Pro and the Ascend,
yeah.
The 12'8". And honestly, if you forced my hand and you said choose between one of those two, for all things considered in the fishing community, I've almost got to give the nod to the Ascend, because it's going to have good resale value. There's always this next guy looking to upgrade into that market.
Yeah.
If you want a better performance boat and you want a better well-rounded boat, then the Pescador Pro is by far the superior quality, craftsmanship, warranty, all of those things. But when it comes to standability and riggability and capacity and all of those other things, I think that the Ascend kind of edges it out.
Okay, and then if you're going to upgrade from that sub 1,000 up.
Okay, so if you're going to upgrade from the sub 1,000 up, there's really 3 boats, in my opinion, that kind of dominate the landscape for bass fishing. Now, don't jump in the comment section and harpoon me in saying that I'm only picking bass boats, because I'm going to tell you up front, I'm mostly picking bass boats. I do use my boats for crossover red fishing in the flats, crossover offshore, fishing for sharks and tarpon and Amelia Island all the way down to the Keys. And I'm going to bring you guys a lot more of that this year. I usually do that kind of fishing for myself and don't video it as much, but I'm going to share that with you more this year. Okay, so my favorite boat that's ever been made is a Wilderness Systems Tarpon 160. From the standpoint of that it covers a lot of water, it's rocket fast, it's an exploration boat. Yeah, back in the day. I used to be in that boat all the time, and I like covering water in it, but I really like to stand up. Now, I can stand up in that boat.
Good.
And for a fat boy, I'm pretty agile, and some people refer to me when it comes to standing on kayaks as like a trained circus act. The problem is, if I tell other guys they can stand in that boat, and they get out there and set the hook and miss the hook set and fall out the boat, then they blame me. If they flip the boat over and lose all their stuff, they blame me. And it's not the best boat for getting into stump fields and going down rivers and things like that. So all around, the best boat. And by using it and my endorsement carrying weight, a lot of people were buying that boat for the wrong reason. And so I try to use boats that are more universal and things that make the most sense for the most applications. So that being said, don't harpoon me when I tell you what I think the top 3 boats right now on the market are. The top 3 boats, in my opinion, are the Wilderness Systems Attack 140. I led the design team and charge on putting that boat together. The original concept was my idea, so I'm partial to it. It's like your kid is always pretty to you. You know those people on social media that post pictures of their kids and talk about how cute they are, and you're like, woo! So I will say that that's my beautiful. That's the boat I wanted. There's a couple of things that I would have done different if I could choose to completely design the boat. The drink holder would have been a little different, some of that stuff, but it's a collaboration with a design team, with what the dealers want, what the sales reps want, and so you don't win them all. The next boat in that category, between the Mayfly and the Big Rig, depending on what your choices are, it would be one of those two. And I'm just going to use one of my choices for both of those because I think that they're both great boats. I think the Big Rig instills a lot of confidence in folks that look at it and say, that looks stable. I think that's actually kind of silly when people say, oh, it looks stable. What does that mean? You know, it's like, is that like a guy that's a bodybuilder looks strong, but he may, gas in the second round of a dance contest? Who knows? Looks can be deceiving, but I know what you mean, and what I like about that boat is it is big, it is comfortable, it is stable, and it's got a lot of capacity. So for me, and even when Gene jumped into the Attack and used it for a while, and then he started looking at the Jackson and started asking me for my advice because I've been in the industry a long time, I said, look man, to be honest with you, for your demographic, for what you're following, from what you're used to, coming from the Pro Angler and some of those other things, I feel like the Big Rig is probably the best boat for you. He got in it, he fished it, he loved it.
Yep.
And so I'm going to say the Wilderness Systems Attack 140, and then the Jackson Big Rig, and then we're talking top here. So keep in mind, again, don't harpoon me in the comments and say, oh, you forgot about this boat. I'm talking about the top 3 boats by popularity, by functionality, and by sales. And whether I want to admit it or anybody else wants to admit it out there, probably one of, if not the most popular when it comes to tournament fishing and all-around fishing boats is the Hobie Pro Angler.
Yeah.
And so Gene's got a lot of experience in that boat.
So let me get into the Hobie real quick. Okay. If I was a tournament angler, if I was just strictly I wanted to be a professional kayak tournament angler, and I wanted to do it for a profession, I'd want to have 2 boats. Okay. I want to have a boat for shallow waters and rivers, so something like the Coosa or the Mayfly or the Attack, and I'd want to have a pedal drive for a big water. And to be honest with you, at this point in time, I would have a Hobie PA14 and I'd have a Mayfly, or I'd have an Attack.
Yeah, that's a good balance. But so here's for me how I look at that. But for me, that all-around boat is that boat that I can get shallow, that I can cover a lot of water, that's fast, that's stable. And for me right now, that's the Attack 140 with a Torqeedo 4.3 ultralight on it. But I agree, you know, if you're staying human powered, if you're going to go the route of, you know, I don't want to use a motor, I don't want to register it, you know, then the Hobie Pro Angler 14 is up there with the top pedal drives. They started it. I'm experimenting right now, and I'm paddling and pedaling and powering the Wilderness Systems Radar 135, and I'm about to do the Radar 115. I got some videos coming on those. But I gotta admit, that boat, from an efficiency for paddling when you want to paddle it, from a very efficient wattage output and low power consumption when it's powered, and for a good performance, turning radius, turning responsiveness, propulsive efficiency, it's a great boat. The pedal drive is a little louder than I would have wanted it to be in the securing mode. So when you press the pedal and it comes up, I would be a little leery of doing that in shallow water where I'm stalking a big bass. And so what I would probably do is, if I was moving into shallow water, I'd put the pedal drive up, I'd stow it, and then I'd paddle the rest of the way. And so for me, there is no one perfect boat. So Gene's right, you know, there's definitely, you know, give and take. So for me, my 1-2 punch right now is the Attack 140 and the Attack 120 or the Ride 115 for rivers. But if I'm going to say the top 3 boats, prices and all that out the window, just for functionality, for design, it's got to be the Hobie Pro Angler 14, the Jackson Big Rig Mayfly in that category, and then the Wilderness Systems Attack 140, 120, depending on the specific application that you're looking for.
Yep.
But the market is changing. There are new boats coming out all the time, and that's what's great and exciting about this sport. What's more important is, I see this comment sometime, kayaks are getting too expensive. Here's what's funny about that comment. There are a lot of expensive kayaks now, but there are now more kayaks under $1,000 available today than when I started kayak fishing.
Yep.
And I've been kayak fishing for almost 21 years. In November will be 21 years, so I'm over 20 years now. And when I started, most of the kayaks were in that $600 or $700 range. Let me make that make sense for you. That same kayak now is a little over $1,000, okay? An F-150, when I bought my first kayak, was under $20,000. It's now $56,000, $57,000, $58,000. The Tundra, the Tundra that you've got is a $50K truck. The Titan XD that I'm driving is a 50 plus, got 60 plus K truck. They're expensive, okay? And kayaks, in my opinion, haven't grown that much. When the Prowler 13 Angler came out from Ocean Kayak, right after Wilderness Systems made the Tarpon 140, both of those boats passed the $900 mark. And that was almost 14 years ago for those 2 boats.
Yep.
And so the prices have gone up, but now there's the Pescador Pro, there's Ascends, there's Lifetimes, there's Pelicans, there's all these price point boats. So there's a lot more choices for an economy boat now than there was before. So though I agree that some of the boats have gotten expensive, but that's what happens when we ask for functionality as the consumer.
Yeah.
There's a lot more cost.
You see near as much anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, I was the PVC king.
I used to be Home Depot aisle 7. I tell people all the time. I lived on that aisle. They knew me. They were like, "Hey, go here." And I think they've changed it since then.
I had a guy that worked there come and ask me if I wanted a chair.
Oh yeah,
Because I was sitting there staring and trying to figure out how I was going to build.
You're going to think this is ridiculous, but I didn't have a cell phone in the beginning of when cell phones started to get popular because I didn't want to get an electronic leash. But when I first got a cell phone, there was a dude that worked at Home Depot, knew me so much for going there to get PVC, that a new PVC Y connector came in, and he sent me a text message picture of it and said, "Any use for this?" question mark. And he wasn't talking about plumbing. He was talking about kayak fishing. And so, all right, next question.
Actually, we're going to make a right turn and talk about fishing.
Okay, fishing.
This guy says, well, where is it? He says, my fluoro has been getting wrecked with breakoffs using a Palomar knot. What knot is best with fluoro? I'm going to tell you which one I use.
So don't say this guy. Say his name.
Oh, I'm
Give
sorry.
him some love.
Pulling drag.
Pull and drag.
Okay, so I use an improved clinch knot. I use one. I wet it down really good, and I actually, as I'm pulling it tight, I take the wraps and I push them down with my finger so I don't burn the knot. I don't just pull it all tight and everything else, and it just causes a
That's
knot
called
burn.
stacking the knot.
Yep, stacking the knot. Yep. And as you're pulling it tight, you're going to push it down on your finger. Just a carefully tied improved clinch knot. A Palomar knot, even if I tie it carefully, has a more chance of breaking off a fluorocarbon. I have slung 6XDs and 10XDs a mile because they break off.
But let me tell you one tip, one thing that you can do to improve the Palomar knot, and it's really not the knot's fault, it's how you tie it. I see this all the time. Guys do their loop, they put it over the bait, they pull it, and then they just pull the line.
Yeah,
and that just burns the line. If you held it up to the light, you can see where it's flattened, you can see where it's coned down, and it's weakened. So the knot is still strong. 9 times out of 10, when people break off on a Palomar knot, they're breaking off on the weakened line just above the Palomar knot. So here's how you do it. You wet your line before you even do your overhand loop, because if you don't, you'll forget. Bring it over the line, wet it again, and pull to tighten the knot with the tag. Don't pull with the running line. So like Gene said, work the knot down, get it as tight as you can. I call it the thumbnail. Get it down to where it's smaller than your thumbnail, and then pull a little bit of that tension out with your running line, and then hold your running line, hold your lure, which makes it perpendicular as you pull the tag line, either by putting it in some pliers or grabbing it with your teeth, and pull the slack with the tag line. One of the things I don't like about the Palomar knot when it comes to spinnerbait fishing, worming, anything in grass, is the tag faces forward, and so you end up with this little V there that picks up trash. So one thing that I do when I tie the Palomar is I take my tag in, and after I make my loop and I go back through, and I'll do a video about this, and I come over the bait, I take my tag through the loop and pull it, and as I pull it, it actually tightens the knot down and curls the tag, and it ends up facing at a 45-degree angle back the opposite direction, and it's not a V.
We're offline.
Oh, are we?
Why are we offline?
Come on. Can't be. Let me go look.
We've been offline for a while.
No, you have. I've gone on. It
says live.
Showing me live here, man. It might be just that connection. So anyway, let's just keep talking.
Keep rolling.
Hopefully we're good to go.
I just refreshed it.
Is it good?
I don't know. I'm on it and it's still saying offline. Yeah.
Very bad connection. Very bad connection.
Is that what it says?
I got it.
Everybody turn your Wi-Fi off.
I got 2
Let me just turn mine off right here.
We were starting to get more comments popping up. I was like, man, they haven't been commenting forever.
Nobody watching it.
Frozen. Here we go. Here we go. That's acting like it. Yay! Nope.
Nope.
Here. Get off of yours.
Sit.
Should be running it on the 5 though.
Finley, sit. Sit.
I was on the 2.5. I was on the 5 on there. I think we should kick it back on.
That sucks.
Same with ours. You can't even get it in the living room.
Well, I did that on purpose.